Hello everybody, this is Tim here again, here with another movie review. This time I recently just watched the movie Fifth Element after having not seen it in a long time. Now, it is kind of pointless to do a video for this because it is... Sorry about that, I had to adjust my lighting there for a minute because I'm doing this video in the vehicle, but it is kind of pointless to kind of do a video about this because the Fifth Element is something that's had reviews for it for a long time. There's like truckloads of videos about this already on YouTube. But I figured, well, what the heck, I ain't seen the film in a while, why not do a review for it? It's a very unique film. Luc Besson, he's almost like a mainstream cult director, really, with The Professional and then this, and then he did that really bad one, Lucy, with Scarlett Johansson. As far as this film goes, The Fifth Element, it's really multiple different things. At the end of the day, it is kind of a sci-fi, like, quest movie, really. And the plot does get kind of generic by the end when the novelty of the movie, like, wears off. Hold on, man, I'm just going to keep trying to adjust this here. But yeah, the novelty of the movie kind of does wear off at the end, and you're like, oh, okay, this is kind of generic with the whole, like, we gotta save the planet thing from this big asteroid named, like, Mr. Shadow or whatever. And he pretty much has, like, no personality. He's just like a flying meteorite or rock. Really, this is a very niche, almost cult film that just happened to have, like, studio backing, really, is what this feels like. And it's very interesting in that way. There's like truckloads of homages to like sci-fi films and the science fiction in general in this film. This movie takes a lot from Blade Runner. Like the way it looks and stuff looks like almost like a new colorful version of Blade Runner. It takes sci-fi concepts and stuff and pays tribute and homage to them. At the same time, though, it almost feels like a parody of sci-fi, but in a loving way to where it's paying tribute and doing a lot of homages to sci-fi. Like it really feels like Blade Runner. Like instead of Harrison Ford's Deckard, we got Bruce Willis in this film as his colorful character, Corbin Dallas. At the same time, though, I don't know if Bruce Willis was exactly right for this movie because it's almost like they knew that this film was kind of a niche thing and they wanted to put like a high-profile actor in it or another high-profile actor so they could kind of sell this film more to the masses, which I get. It's a studio product, and I'm sorry if this video is a little bit too dark because my vehicle here is just not, it's not very light in it. But yeah, it almost feels like they did try to put like more studio type mainstream actors in this to sell it. It does kind of take you out of what is pretty much a cult film, really a niche type movie. But it really works here. Gary Oldman is hilarious as the villain. And you got like these Star Trek aliens or whatever that he keeps having problems with, that he's got them like doing his bidding and stuff. And they don't really have much character in it. It's kind of a problem like in the action scenes with like going after Bruce Willis and all that. And another thing is Bruce Willis' character doesn't have much character either. He's just kind of there to be like an avatar for the audience, really, for you to just imprint yourself on, because it's just like, but at the same time, in doing that and having Bruce Willis here, it makes it feel more... This film has the structure also of a Bruce Willis movie. It feels like a Die Hard movie in space almost, with him he keeps saying stuff like, I'm on vacation, which kind of reminded me of A Good Day to Die Hard, which is not a very good movie. But that movie came out much after this. But it really reminds you of like, oh, wrong guy in the wrong place at the wrong time or whatever. So yeah, it really does feel like that whole Die Hard thing, except in space. So at the same time, this is still kind of a Bruce Willis movie, and he's just kind of like an avatar for the audience. You're just supposed to imprint on him and his whole like thing of falling in love with Mila Jovovich, or however you say her name, who's really hot in this. Who was like married. I don't know if she was married to Luc Besson at the time he did this or what, but she's naked a lot in this film, and Paul Anderson does it a lot in the Resident Evil films too, where he did it a lot in that. And it's almost like these guys are like, yo, check out my hot woman, baby, because they keep making a joke in this movie, like a running joke, that where the guys keep saying she's perfect, and it does kind of take me out of the movie a little bit, because I'm like, oh, okay, Luc Besson, quit jerking off to your wife. But okay, at the same time though, once you get later on to the movie, Chris Tucker's character shows up as like a parody of Prince, who's supposed to be like a pop star parody in the future. Like this movie takes from a lot of sci-fi stuff, but it really also creates its own science fiction world. At the same time, it's innovative with that, so it doesn't really feel like a direct copy of anything. Once again, I'm just trying to adjust this here because it is really dark in this vehicle. But yeah, it really feels innovative in that way. It feels like it's being innovative with the sci-fi concepts and paying tribute to them at the same time. Kind of a parody, but in a loving way, like an homage type parody thing, like a just paying tribute to it, like a send-up of sci-fi more than like laughing at it and stuff. And you got, what's his name? I know this actor's name. It's the dude from Something About Mary. He's like a British comedian. Maybe Luke Evans. I don't know. I'm not for sure. But he was also in The Medallion with Jackie Chan. He shows up here later on, too. It's pretty funny seeing him here. But, yeah, I'm not sure if the guy's name is Luke Evans or not. I know he was in Mouse Hunt, too, because I think Luke Evans is actually the name of another actor. So I'm not sure what the dude's name is. I'd have to look it up. But I didn't look it up before this movie. You got Ian Holm in here as well, as who's obviously from Alien, as the robot in that. So like I said, this movie pays tribute to a lot of science fiction. Chris Tucker's character in this does kind of start to steal the movie a little bit too much towards the end. It's like he's a main character or becomes a main character in the second half up till the end, but for the first half of the movie, he's just not really in it. So then he just kind of shows up and takes over the movie almost, like the movie just starts catering itself to him. And he was really funny and I was laughing the entire time, but after a while, it was like, okay, you're pushing this character a little bit too much. It's almost like they're really trying to make the movie about him almost towards the end, like to kind of get the audience into the movie. This feels like a cult film where they're trying to slightly make it mainstream enough to where the average viewer can follow it and be into it, like the average Bruce Willis fan and stuff like that. And like I said about paying tribute to a lot of sci-fi and stuff like that, there's even musical cues from Blade Runner in this film, in the scenes where in one scene where Bruce Willis is like talking to Mila Jovovich or whatever his character, Lilu or whatever, the alien. And at the end of this movie, it does start to get too heavy-handed when this movie is really just kind of a fun flick where she's like, all you do is death, the human race is evil or whatever, and Bruce Willis is like, I love you, and you kind of buy into it from Bruce Willis' perspective because you're putting yourself in his position because he's the avatar for us, and so she's hot, so you believe it that he's in love with her. But at the same time, though, it's like this is a really silly movie, so when it tries to start getting heavy-handed with messages and stuff, it does start to lose me a little bit, but the movie brings me back in after that because it's fun. So yeah, all in all, I just said I'd give this a 4 out of 4. This is an awesome, fun time movie. This is not any kind of like science fiction that's going to make you really brain think or whatever. This is just kind of fun fantasy science fiction, like science fantasy really, and also comedy action film at the same time. It does all these things, which at the same time makes this film feel unique, but also at the same time, I think a lot of people are going to find this film jarring, like average audiences. I'm not sure how well. I think this film was a hit when it came out, and I can see why. But I've seen a lot of people watch this film who don't like this film, and I get it. This movie is not really going to appeal to a mass audience unless you're just like a big Bruce Willis fan and stuff like that, and just a fan of these actors, and you're just having fun with it. That's kind of the thing with this movie. It's really playing to a more niche audience, but at the same time, it's mainstream enough with the actors to where you could get into it if you're more of a casual person like a Bruce Willis fan, stuff like that. But Bruce Willis is not who he used to be today, so I'm not sure how people today would get into this film, or if they would. Yeah, that's better. Or if they would like really get into this movie today, I'm not for sure. And yes, I'm sweating a little bit because it's hotter than shit out here. But yeah, all in all, 4 stars. Awesome film, very fun. Chris Tucker does start to overdo it a little bit towards the ending, the last climax in the movie, but it's a very enjoyable and just good time movie. So it's a really pretty looking movie. And also there's obviously financial backing for this movie because they do an obvious McDonald's advertisement in this movie that's a little much. But yeah, all in all, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again.